Infinity Photo comes with some really powerful filters, one of them being equations, and you can use this with all kinds of shapes to create designs like this, super quick. So let's just go right to the start and select a shape. You could use any of these shapes. Of course, they've all got different features and will expose completely different designs when you use equations. So startle, really good one, and apply. With that, you can then go to filters and go down there to distort and equations. So in equations, you can create very simple equations. Simply go to polar and r divided by 3, just makes it a bit bigger, and then t times 20. Doesn't look very much, but what you can do, you can just change the origin point, and as you do that, you will see more or less, obviously, of the background, obviously the white background, and you can move it, say, to that position. And then also, you can also try these out. Mirror. Sometimes the result will create a slight change, but in most cases, 0 should be fine. Click Apply. Then you can right click and then go to Layer Effects. And very quickly, you can go to 3D. You can see the 3D effect there. And also maybe outer shadow and change radius and offset and intensity. And you've got a design like that. Well, let's go to another shape. This time, startle, but with more stars, more points, I should say. So let's just increase it, put it up to the maximum. To the maximum, and then drag. Now, with the startle still selected there, you can modify all the settings here, and you can create some interesting designs very quickly by just changing this. So you can see you can tweak that. Outer circle, make it maybe slightly rounded. With that, you can also go to filters, again down to distort and equations. And in equations, you can then go to polar, exactly the same as before. And unfortunately, there's no way of storing the equations. So what you need to do, simply just type it again. Obviously, it's very simple. So it's r divided by 3 or 4. Just change it. Obviously, you make it slightly bigger, maybe 2, something like that. And then t times, you can try different values, say 20, and then change origin point. And as you do that, you can see the result completely different from the previous one. Well, maybe go, instead of 20, you can go with 4. And you can see a slightly different design there as well, a more sort of cross design. And you can change the position, the origin position, move it around. Again, you can always try mirror to see if there's any change. Wrap. Sometimes there's an effect, sometimes not. So generally, I will stick with 0 and then click Apply. Exactly the same as before. You can right click and you can go down here and Layer Effects. Maybe use different ones. Always use Gradient Overlay, or maybe go for Outer Shadow, or again 3D. So 3D effect, just change radius and click Close, and you've got a design like that. So let's go for a few others as well. Let's just try them out. You've got here a diamond tool. So diamond tool, now the diamond doesn't come with many options, so you can apply it like that. But a great thing about shapes and lots of these designs, you can duplicate them as well. So you've got this initial design, hold down the Alt Option key, and you can drag and maybe create a design like that very quickly. Just drag over them all. You can align them, do all various distributions if you want. I'm just going to go with this, but you can go right click, group, right click, and then rasterize. So you can now use that equations. So filters, distort, and equations. And with that, you can then go exactly the same as before. Polar, just down there, r divided by 3, or maybe 2, up to you. And then t times 4. And you can see you can create a lovely, weird and wonderful shape like that. Or maybe go for t times 40, or something like that. Now, of course, there will always be similarities with the other designs. But of course, what you can also do is you can add colour into this. So you don't have to have just one shape. So let's just go back for maybe a double star this time. So double star, simply drag like that. It's a slightly unusual star, and you can tweak it with the actual tool there selected. Simply change that, tweak it all kinds of different ways. You've also got lots of options there for point radius, and you can see create unusual styles like that. But this time, with this, hold down the Alt or Option key, drag, duplicate that design, and this time, instead of just having it all red, just click here and go for, say, blue. So you've got that. Select both, right click, again group, right click, and down to rasterize. Now you can apply that effect again. Filters, distort, and equations. And with that, just go there. Polar exactly the same as before, times, just try different ones as well. Don't have to go for the same. So times 5, you actually shrink it. But say divided by 5, create it much bigger. Now you can see obviously it gets a bit rougher there. You might not want to push it too much. You don't even have to divide it by that. Instead, say R times or asterisk times 0.87 or 1.34 and so on. Just try out different settings. With that, you go here, T times 4. And you can see you create a design like that. And again, you can move this around and you can create quite a unique sort of shape design like that. Now, it's not a vector. It's a pixel layer. Maybe times 40. And you can create a design like that. And you can see this time you've got the blues and the reds sort of pulsing outwards. But again, you can still tweak this. Maybe go R divided by 3 and so on to create a different design. Something like that. Again, you can try the zero mirror. They do have effects sometimes, subtle changes, repeat, in some cases, none at all, and click apply. And you've got a result like that, a very intense blue and red starburst design. Also, you can also use selections if you want to limit the effect. So you don't have to apply it to the whole thing, maybe just to the center, or you can apply a selection like that. Well, once you've got that, make certain you've got it selected, because if it's not selected, you won't be able to apply the effect. Again, you go to Filters, and then down here to Distort and Equations. So Equations, exactly the same as before, Polar, and again, R divided by 3, just fills the entire thing, and you can, of course, shift that around, just move the origin point. And then here, T times 20. And you can see then you create an effect like that very quickly. Design maybe there and click apply. Of course, you can then remove that, deselect that, and you've got that circular design with that massive starburst, exactly the same as before. Right click, you can go to layer effects, go to 3D, and you can see then you create a nice 3D effect there and close. And of course, you can repeat this done. Another great option, move tool selected, press return or enter on the keyboard, and the move duplicate will turn up. And then you can simply go here, duplicate, increase the number of copies, scale, reduce it down, create design like that, and a quick bit of rotation. You can create some very interesting combination designs simply by combining the result of that equations filter. And there's thousands of other things you can do with all these shapes. So anything, spiral shape is brilliant for all kinds of different designs. So again, spiral, and you can change the settings. Now this one is only stroke based. There's no fill, but you can always click there and add a fill in if you wish. And also you can always go to stroke and add a stroke, click there and set the width. And this can be modified in all kinds of ways. You can change the turns, change different options here for counter semicircular and so on. Or maybe Fibonacci or plotted and so on. And also change number of turns, change that, and change that, as well as the divisions. So if you want, maybe create something like that, something quite unique, sort of unusual shape. With that, you can do exactly the same. Go to Filters, down here, Distort and Equations, and Polar. Just go there, R times, or times 3 to shrink it, R divided by 4 to increase it. Again, you can see it obviously slightly gets a bit rougher there when you push it out, but T times 5, say, and you can create a design like that. And you can then, of course, change the origin point exactly the same as before. And you can combine that also with different colours as well. So let's just go for maybe instead of that, say 10 or 20 to create a very dramatic effect. I'm just going to go with 10. I think that's what is best, and click apply. Exactly the same as before. Right click, layer effects, and you can go to 3D. So 3D, just change the radius and maybe go and add an outer shadow there. Maybe if you want, go with a gradient overlay. So you can create an unusual gradient effect, completely eliminating the stroke, of course, to get an effect like that. Lovely, sort of very grayscale, sort of stained glass window effect. And then, of course, close the panel there. So literally thousands of different designs, all from a basic set of shapes just down here. And really the spiral one is definitely one to try out, especially the one that creates that lovely sort of unusual irregular shapes. I think it creates some truly wonderful design to layer. So you can always go to Window and down here to Layers. You can see the layer there. You can add a background to it, maybe an image. It could be used as an overlay as well as the background itself. So Layer, and let's just go down to New, and then maybe just add a gradient. Very quick design. So gradient applied like that. Now obviously it's on top of the current pixel layer there, so just simply just drag it back up again, and now you've got this gradient background with this Crackle design. But also what you can do, you can manipulate it further. With it selected, simply go to Filters, and then go to Distort and Deform. With that, simply add some pins, and you can then simply drag and distort this design, warp it in all kinds of ways to create even more unique designs.